it's just connecting those little data sets, like you said, like your brother does, and it's just trying to stick to facts and not be controversial. I kind of wanted to ask you this, that, controversy will probably get you double the hits, right? But I don't want to create controversy. I don't want to have statements about, this happened and that happened and it's black and white. I just want to use it as an educational platform to say to people, come, start spending less time on your phone and more time in a book and just start your own journey. There's no point in us having publishing houses if we can't even support our own ones.
Definitely. I think just on the controversy thing, I think one thing with,
you might get it all the time. You've had so many different guests. I just can't imagine the amount of stuff you deal with. And you're on every platform.
Well, it's interesting. So, like, personally speaking, and I'm sure you can relate to a lot of this, because one of the objectives with the podcast was to take some of these controversies and try to be very transparent and just brutally honest with it. So I'm assuming you have listened to the Kamalpreet Pradesi one. Like, that itself, I was really actually quite scared and apprehensive to do that podcast, because I was like, everyone's going to come at me with your RSS, you think Sikhs are Hindus, this, that, the other, the usual kind of stupid controversies. But in actuality, most people at the end of it, and most of the comments and feedback I got on it was like, wow, I didn't know those connections. Thank you for doing that. And to be honest, it was I'm almost trying to do something I wish I had when I was doing my research and my university degree, which is to create a bank of knowledge that is easily accessible, but goes into those nitty gritty details and really tries to figure out what's going on. I'm not saying what the conclusions we come to or what we say is 1000% correct, and you should just accept what I've got to say. Take it, work on it, come back and give me something to work with. But it's almost like, so the Dasam Granth podcast on authenticity and authorship, that debate has been raging for at least 2 decades, at least. And so to just I guess in some ways I want to package controversy and bottle it. And what I mean by that is I don't want to sell it to you, but what I want to do is just get it out of the way, because I don't want every time I post something about Dasam Granth, someone to be in the comments going, this isn't the work of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. I actually want them to listen.
I find with the work that Little History does, we get a lot of, because it says history and because it says Sikh, right? I was told before not to use Sikhs, just call it a Little History of the Punjab and you could be more mainstream. And I was like, no, but I specialize in Sikh history. I've been through my Indian phase. I've been, now I would say I'm Punjabi, but at the time I felt I was Sikh when I started Little History of the Sikhs. I teach in a Punjabi school, Punjabi and Sikh, right? I don't teach anything else. And now I wish I did call it a Little History of the Punjab, because every Gurpurab or every function, I get, so many Kirtan videos sent to me, but you put this on your website, and I'm like, we don't specialize in good morning WhatsApp messages, and I do get, and I just try and delete them off or block them off. And I say, I'm not trying to be rude, but all I'm trying to say is, if you want a history of the Sikhs, there's about 200 other Facebook websites that can give you that. We're Little Histories, modern day Sikh history, exploring UK, London and Europe. You're not going to find that Guru Nanak came to London, UK or Europe. So I can't put those images up, that I get sent. And I don't get a lot of it because I'm not that mainstream, but I find anytime I do get anything, I get lots from India. And I said, you're never going to come on a tour. And then I keep getting messages about help, like help. I know, did you get those yet? Help messages?
I get loads of I get such, so just a random one to share with you. This actually happened yesterday. Yeah. So no, not yesterday. Today's Sunday. So it happened on Friday. So basically I checked, just wanted to see what's going on. So I checked Instagram and someone had messaged me and they had sent me a link. I can't remember what the website was now, but they sent me a link and basically he was like, oh, have you seen this? This page is claiming that Guru Nanak Dev Ji came to America and visited these places. And I'm pissing myself when I read this. Like, I'm absolutely in it. I'm just laughing, yeah. And I replied back to him, I'm like, look, I'm not going to waste my time reading it because I'm pretty sure that most of that is just waffle. End of story. Anyway, yesterday then I get another message off him and he's like, nah, look, you should read it because you're expert in Sikh history and the dates match and the times match and the evidence that he's given really makes sense. And I'm like, look, first thing, I'm no expert. I'm just some nerd who reads books and shares what he finds. Yeah. Secondly, I'm not bothered how much you think those jigsaw pieces fit. There is no way in categorical history that ever happened. And if it did, it's not in any of the original Janam Sakhis, so I'm happy not to take it as gospel. And then after that, I was just like, throughout the day, I just kept thinking, like, is that where mainstream popular Sikh history is at? Where we're now trying to create
everything's got to be new.
Yeah, we're trying to create theories that for whatever reason we think are going to attract attention, or or even the example we were talking about right at the start, which was like rewriting history. So I find it interesting when I shared kind of a short history of the Kohinoor and about how Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji wanted to gift it to Jagannath Puri. That just creates a storm. Everyone's like, no, he didn't want that. You're lying. Bombans wrote it. It's wrong. And I'm like, well, I can provide you with at least a dozen primary sources from not just his chronicler, but the British, from other people in his camp, from other Europeans, who all pretty much say the same thing. So what, are you trying to now tell me that they're all in on some conspiracy to rid us of the Kohinoor?
It's not even, so again, it's just very emotional, isn't it, when they get tired. But I find for me, with a little history, one of the kind of the cards that I can usually play is, we're only little. We're only doing the little stuff. I think the chote bande ya to sikari jo kanda, right? And I don't try and disagree and agree, but I just kind of say to people, just continue a path of learning. For me, my path of learning is still focused on the Guru Granth Sahib. That's for me, we're still learning the vichar on that, and learning from some quite knowledgeable people around our Sangat, and the depth of learning that they take it to kind of just makes it even more kind of understanding Shabad. And these are the same Shabad we've grown up with, but as you grow older, they start to reflect in a different way, right? Yeah, and you can start relating to them more. So there's never going to be a point where just because you've done one Akhand Path yourself that you know what it all means. No way, and that's what I say to people. It's just ultimately a little history should help you with your own Sikhi learning, and that can be a lonely place for people because it's a personal journey. So these tours or this community that we try and build, I don't promote it, I don't say it, but I know it works because of my roots in Punjabi school, that kids are going to need to rely on the Guru at some point in their life, and if they can do that. And for people like me, there's a whole background about why I feel I need to connect to Guru, which is probably a whole different, thing. But just to share quietly, like I was diagnosed as a 8-year-old type 1 diabetic in the 80s, So I spent ages in hospital. I was closer to God than anyone else that I knew because I used to have to mix pig and cow insulin in certain ratios in a syringe needle and inject it myself because my parents couldn't really understand what the doctor was saying about all this stuff. Then the human trials, then the Nova rapid jabs that come out. I was part of all of that process. But the interesting thing for me is that I've always found Sikhi as a source of strength because your own mortality is you're so much more aware of your own mortality, having 3 or 4 injections a day, knowing that hypos can lead you into hospital and all that kind of stuff. And touch wood, I've had it, 35 years plus now, 37 years, right? My eyes are okay, kidneys are okay, body's still functioning, still can walk, right? Which, at that time, 25 years was a good innings, They used to give you a gold medal, so I live with something that gives you a really much, why do you want to piss people off, when tomorrow no one knows what happened. So really, is this the most important thing we need to be having a fight about when, and I don't want to get into all of that because for me, every day is still a blessing, right? So why do you want to be on negative energy when it can be on the positive side? So I do feel the force of Barney around you, because my grandmother kind of installed it in us, and it is a protector, And I think I'm a living, breathing example of that, of that Nitnem Rehat type situation. Not that I can manage it every day, but if you do, you can have a better day, right? And at the end of the day, who knows what comes tomorrow, right? So that's why I try and stay away from these controversial things. I say, Hatha, if that's what floats your boat, then carry on. But me, I just need to focus on my next injection and staying alive.
No, but I think that's just a beautiful way of putting it. And equally, I think that's a good way of dealing with it, which is I'm just happy to agree to disagree. Like you're just as correct. What I've got to say is absolutely fine as well, and we can still continue to move on. And I think that's
what happens in the tours is, these WhatsApp groups, because we spent 3 hours in a professional capacity learning. These groups have got different types of Sikhs on them. It's a very good audience for bringing people together and learning from each other, because you can just mix who you walk with for the next part of the tour, And I find we need to be doing more of them if it works. Into Sikh harmony might build, in three hours of just walking together with someone and learning something, maybe.
Well, I think that's probably a really beautiful place to probably wrap this podcast up. We've been talking for now just over 3 hours. It's absolutely flown by. I can say, I'm happy to sit and continue because I love it, right? But I think we should definitely, obviously there's loads that we could talk about. So I think I'll definitely get in touch with you again to do one in the near future. And if I can bring you people out to the forefront, A, I get to learn loads. B, I get to have these brilliant conversations. But C, the side effect is I then get to share this with everyone else. And so far, touch wood, people seem to enjoy it and seem to listen.
I think, I enjoy the podcast and I get to learn a lot from them. So I'm glad I'm on the list. I'm glad you reached out, because I was just listening to the ones that were done and I was like, these are good ways to pass time. But Waiguru, thank you very much, Ahmed.
No, not a problem. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out on a Sunday morning to do this. And also just for sharing everything so frankly and honestly. Really appreciate it. I will obviously include the links to your social media pages and the website in the description. Equally, if people, I insist everyone listening to this, if you're ever in or around London, please book one of these tours, because it obviously helps everyone, and equally you'll get to learn a lot. And obviously, as we've spoken about, there's loads of tours in Europe and kind of further afield. So if you're interested in them, also
I'll get more of the program out and about. There's about 3 tours out now, but every month I give it, and then I'll just start launch. Takes the prep then a month in advance, Sweet. So we get our April ones, but that's good. But love it. Thank you for the
no problem. Thank you so much. I will leave you to the rest of your Sunday. I hope you have a great day, and I will be in touch very soon. So you've made it to the end of another podcast episode. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. Please make sure to let me know the good bits or even the bad bits of the podcast in the comments below. Also, don't forget, you can let me know if there are any guests that you wish to see on the podcast or any other video ideas. Otherwise than that, I'll see you all in the next one.